Welcome to selections from the Gospel of the Prophet Mani, the brief Manichean Catechism, Part 2 of 2, on words of wisdom. Prophet Mani, also known as the Messenger of Light, was a Persian mystic saint who sought to liberate humanity through a deeper understanding and connection with God. His Gnostic teachings became the basis for the Manichean religion. Founded in the 3rd century AD, Manichaeism was based on the belief of the divine within, as well as the duality of good and evil. Prophet Mani saw a human struggle between the spiritual light and the material world of darkness. His teachings, which focus on the unity of all religions, drew from Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, and Christianity. During its peak, Manichaeism spread from Spain to India and was perhaps the first religion to flourish worldwide at that time. Prophet Mani was revered for his humbleness, compassion, and the spiritual salvation that he said could be attained by reconnecting with one's true self. During a lecture in 2007, Supreme Master Ching Hai confirmed Prophet Mani's place in history as a true messenger of light.
It's about Mani prophet.
Mani?
Mani Haya, the prophet in Iran.
Yeah.
And I discovered that all his disciples were vegetarian. Mm-hmm. And they also were very attentive to animals, like they kept something in when they walked. They walked a lot in their mouths, not to eat insects and all this.
Uh-huh. They wear the mask?
Yeah, they wear a mask. And also Mani was using the teachings of the Buddha when he was in China, mm-hmm. and also the teaching of Jesus when he was more in Europe. So I wanted to know if he was actually really a master in initiating people.
He was the great master.
Thank you, Master.
Yeah, a good master, a real master. Yes, like 5th level. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure he was very greatly enlightened.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell by the way he taught. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, he was very universal for that time.
Then it's good, and loving animal people and all that. Then it's correct. Yeah.
Today, we will continue to share with you excerpts from the Gospel of the Prophet Mani, the brief Manichean Catechism. What is the reward of righteousness? The purifying of the individual soul from all defilement and its victorious entry upon eternal life in the blissful land of light with God and all the angels and happy souls. What happens to the wicked? Those who deliberately prefer evil to good make the freeing of the soul from matter impossible for themselves. Then they take birth after wretched birth in matter, till they become so grossly material that there can be no escape, and that is hell. So, Manichaeism teaches reincarnation? Yes, as a hell or as a purgatorial suffering, involved in being attached to the fleshly body and its delights. Love for the body necessarily causes its reproduction age after age. How do rebirths come to an end? When the soul turns from bodily desires to a full yearning after the spirit, from worldly pleasures to devotion for God, His messengers, and His church, it can no longer be born on a material plane, nor can it even wish to be. What is death? Death is the temporary or final release of the spirit from its material prison. When the light spark is purified, death is its entry on eternal bliss and glory in God's realm of light. What happens to the soul at death? The good, pure, righteous soul is adorned by the angels in its robes, crowns, and garlands of light, and led into the light kingdom, ordinary souls are driven back on the path to rebirth in the physical world. Evil souls are dragged by the demons into their hells of darkness, fire, and misery. How does God check the victory of evil? He himself comes forth in some divine emanation to war upon and overthrow the evil. Or he sends a messenger of the light to encourage and strengthen man in resisting it. Can true knowledge be given by another? The saint or messenger of God comes to enlighten man with the teaching and the ethics, the wisdom and the righteousness which lead to freedom. But only those in whom the intuition or light mind is awake will welcome or benefit from his message. What, then, is the teacher's part? To awaken the soul to its own latent divinity, to guide it on the purifying path, to carry it through the liberating door of death into the endless glory of the Spirit. What are the qualifications for this path? The knowledge that one is the soul and not the body, a firm resolve to live only for the spiritual aim, devotion to God and His Church, which keeps that resolve a living power in the life, loving humility and gentleness to all, and persevering effort for self-purification. Is it necessary to renounce the world? Yes, for its attractions must be overcome, and ultimately its standards and ways of living be abandoned. No, in the sense that it is here and in the world that the Church and each component soul must labor for God's plan of liberation until its purity has set it free forever. Is there only one code of life for all Manicheans? The ordinary moral and religious law is binding on all alike, but the elect, who resolve on swift treading of the path, have voluntarily embraced for themselves a code of higher standards. How does man find God? Roused by God's messenger from the drunken sleep of fleshly ignorance, he realizes his identity with spirit and his temporary bondage to the body. Then he resolves to be free and patiently works at his own liberation, refining his thoughts and practicing all spiritual virtues till he is pure enough to see God in the hour of death. Where then is God? As eternal king of the spiritual light realm, he dwells transcendent over all that is. As manifest in the powers of the light, he wars for its total liberation from the aggressing darkness. As immanent in every atom of matter everywhere, he awaits that liberation which he alone can bring about. Has he any real temple? He is immanent in everything and manifested there to the seeing eye. Therefore God's temple is the universe, and every particle within it. Sacramentally, but more especially, is it the heart of the saint who longs for him. What are the gods and angels? They are emanations or expressions of the nature of the one God, the King of light and Father of all, come forth from him to bring about his final victory over evil. What is our relationship with them? They aid our struggle to escape the darkness of matter, and we must not fail to reverence, love, and worship them as our champions, protectors, friends. Who are the messengers of the light? Saints and prophets sent by God from age to age to teach men the truths of life and how they can attain to Him in whom alone all happiness is found. What is the Church? It is the organized assembly of the faithful souls called by God and His messenger to choose the light and to labor for its freedom everywhere from the darkness. It is a wonderful unity in Him, based on love and wisdom fully shared. What happens when soul is wholly freed? The physical world created for its freeing seed to exist. The light becomes supreme, while the darkness and all evil, together with those who choose to merge therein, are forever subdued or sunk into oblivion. What is the final goal of all life? The freeing of the soul from all defilement, so that it shines with God's pure glory and can live eternally in the bliss of His realized presence and a sort of mystical unity with Him. Is this a dualist religion? Most certainly it is, in the fullest possible sense, for good and evil, spirit and matter, light and darkness, are eternally independent and opposite forces, between which every individual soul must choose. Sum up this religion in a few words. It is the teaching of God's prophets which awakens the soul to a knowledge of its spiritual nature, so that it strives under its guidance to purify and free itself from the defilements of material darkness and ignorance.
Economy forced me to become a vegetarian, but I finally started liking it. His Excellency Dr. APG Abdul Kalam, PhD, vegetarian.
Kind viewers, thank you for joining us for today's show on Words of Wisdom.